There's a time when you want to show power, and there's a time when you want to be finesse.
The basketball court always has provided refuge for Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, a place he felt confident and in command.
Push it, faster. Come on, push yourself. Get outside.
From his days at Gulfport High, where he was Mississippi's Mr. Basketball 2 years in a row, to his All-American career at LSU, to his 9 seasons in the NBA, the court was a place where, despite being barely 6 feet, Abdul-Rauf wowed fans through his wizardry with the ball. But these days, Abdul-Rauf can be found captivating some of academia's best and brightest, like when he spoke as part of a religious studies program at Yale last October.
If you go back to the 60s, when you saw that police dogs were being sick, police brutality, the images that we saw on television, and you look at the images now, there's really no difference.
In fact, today, Abdul-Rauf is in demand.
Assalamu alaikum.
From engaging with community members at an Islamic center in Detroit, to leading a youth basketball clinic, to meeting with 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, Abdul-Rauf has appeared at more than a dozen events since August. When at the start of the NFL preseason, Kaepernick chose not to stand for the national anthem in protest of oppression against African Americans and police brutality, he sparked not only a national controversy, but essentially the resurrection of Abdul-Rauf.
He mentioned that this is the most free that he's ever felt in his life. And that's what it does. I understood what he was saying 100%, and I feel the same way.
Justice! Now!
Long before Trayvon Martin, before Black Lives Matter, before President Trump announced a travel ban on 7 predominantly Muslim countries, there was Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, a convert to Islam, who refused to acknowledge the anthem 21 years ago.
I've never stopped believing in what I believe in and feeling that way. If anything, it's even more confirmed now because nothing has really changed at all. In a lot of cases, it's getting worse.
During his recent visit to Detroit, just a week after the travel ban had been announced, Abdul-Rauf was asked his first reaction to the executive order.
I looked at it as an affront to Muslims worldwide, an attack on the religion itself.
Life as a child in Gulfport was tough for Abdul-Rauf, then known as Chris Jackson. Raised by a single mom, he struggled with Tourette's syndrome and grew up amid a hotbed of drugs, prostitution, and poverty. At LSU, his coach Dale Brown gave Jackson the autobiography of Malcolm X, a book that launched him on the path to becoming a Muslim.
His life fascinated me. Just the mind that he was, how he articulated his views, how moral he seemed to be.
With the 3rd pick in the 1990 NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets select Chris Jackson from LSU.
The year after he was drafted, Jackson officially converted to Islam, and in 1993, he changed his name to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Reporter Dave Krieger covered the Nuggets for more than a dozen years. In 1996, he wrote about Abdul-Rauf's conversion.
There was an otherness about him. He was not your typical pro athlete at all. But when he talked about Islam, it was just very serious, very studious.
As he delved deeper into his new religion, Abdul-Rauf decided that participating in the national anthem was in conflict with his faith. And in March 1996, when a journalist ultimately reported on Abdul-Rauf's stance, it created a firestorm.
America's the reason why he's making the big bucks, and I mean, he should at least respect that.
It's also a symbol of oppression, of tyranny. So it depends on how you look at it. You can't stand for both. You can't be for God and be for oppression.
When it does become public, what is the reaction that you deal with suddenly?
There were hate mail that came through. There were death threats that came through.
Then NBA Commissioner David Stern suspended Abdul-Rauf, citing a rule that players must stand for the anthem. Stern, asked recently about the incident, told Outside the Lines, "We said to him, look, you don't have to come out, you could stay in the locker room, but if you come out with the team, given our rule, we can't have selective enforcement. You're going to have to stand." He said no, and so we suspended him. The showdown lasted 1 game. Abdul-Rauf says that after seeking guidance from other Muslims, he found a compromise solution: to stand and pray during the anthem. Though he led the team in scoring and assists, the Nuggets traded Abdul-Rauf to Sacramento after the season. He played 2 underwhelming years for the Kings, plagued by injuries and decreased playing time. And then he was out of the league.
Once you make someone's life uncomfortable, expect your life to be made uncomfortable. There's going to be fallback. And eventually, my career is going to change. Not that I had a death wish, yeah, because you've seen the examples. The Muhammad Ali's, you know, this is the way it works.
But to others, it was far more complicated. There were Abdul-Rauf's ongoing struggles with Tourette's and managing his medications, a devotion to Islam that had him fasting during Ramadan, weaknesses on defense, and questions about his commitment.
So as a GM, you're looking at that, I think, and you're saying, do I need all this other stuff if I can get somebody roughly as good who doesn't carry any of that baggage?
Wait, what are you doing? I'm just gonna sit right here.
Today, Abdul-Rauf, a divorced father of 5, lives in Atlanta. He prays 3 times a day. He trains high school and college players and works with the occasional NBA player.
There you go!
Still demonstrating the speed and flair that carried him to a pro career. Abdul-Rauf says he's troubled by the new administration's demonization of Islam, America's foreign policy, and how the nation is perceived by people around the world. And yet, he says he has not lost hope.
I don't trust the system, but I do believe in people. Just simply after this ban, you had Christians and you had Jews and you had people coming together. I think the human being has more good in them than bad in them.